Well, it's time to find out what has been making a buzz in the media over the past 24 hours, a buzz online. James Creedon, here you are with Media Watch. Yes. Good to see you as always. And we're going to start right here in France. A lot of buzz, some of it pretty negative stuff, linked to the ongoing Gilets Jaunes movement, which marked 3 months since it began this Sunday.
Right. Remember back in September, people saying, oh, surely it'll die out now. Over Christmas, and it didn't. But there were 3 big moments that got the attention of the media, kind of viral moments, if you like, on Saturday. The first was when this nurse from Normandy, Ingrid Levavasseur, she's become one of the faces of the Gilets Jaunes movement. She was going to be a candidate for the European elections in a bid to make the movement somewhat more politically organised. And she was also asked to be a kind of a common contributor to BFM TV, which is one of the rolling news channels in France. She got absolutely taken apart in Paris during a rally, insulted, told that she was a traitor, that she had crossed over to the side of Macron, etc. And there were videos of her online being called all sorts of words that are probably not repeatable. For those who can understand French, they might pick up on some of it. But let's just say it was pretty nasty stuff. And she then turned and confronted the crowd, saying, "You are not doing the movement any good with this sort of stuff." But she was being accused of being a traitor, essentially. Then there was another incident in Lyon where a police van was pelted with stones. That also, I'm not sure if we have the video that's actually working there, but that got a lot of attention. But the one that probably got most attention of all was French philosopher Alain Finkelkraut in Montparnasse coming out of his home, and he was absolutely set upon, not physically but verbally, because
horrendous anti-Semitic abuse hurled at him.
He was called a dirty Jew. Go back home to Israel, even though France is his home. He's a member of the French Academy and a well-known, somewhat controversial philosopher here. So he has been divisive in the past, but this sort of outright, what would you say,
all the party
anti-Semitic behaviour.
Yeah, all the party leaders came together to condemn that, didn't they?
That's right.
And now there is a police investigation underway.
That's it.
For those individuals who were caught on camera.
That's right.
Breaking the law.
And this, the previous Saturday, there was anti-Semitic graffiti on a number of different places in Paris. So this is now the second, I suppose, very much a documented incident of anti-Semitism. Not just the second, but the second week in a row, at least, where it's been caught on camera, if you like. And in any case, the editorial of Le Monde today is saying the Gilets Jaunes need to face up to their responsibilities. A lot of the time, the answers, if people put to them, well, what about Alain Finkelkraut? The answer will be
because he supported the movement originally.
That's right.
And then he recently said, "Look, where's it going? What's the point in it now?"
It's gone too far. But in any case, the movement, people who are part of the Gilets Jaunes movement, the stock answer tends to be everybody focuses on these isolated incidents. And then when you have, for example, in Rouen on Saturday, cars that are, you have other incidents of violence on protesters, that doesn't get any attention. So the stock answer from a lot of Gilets Jaunes protesters is that there's a disproportionate focus on these incidents. But what Le Monde is saying in its editorial is that that's not good enough as an answer, and that the Gilets Jaunes need to face up to their responsibilities and deal with the fringe elements within the movement. Slate.fr is essentially saying that the movement has fascistic tendencies, and that the capital of sympathy for the Gilets Jaunes is now ceding, and that there is a crystallisation of resentment. And mentioning these incidents that I was just talking about this weekend, just
and where does the public support stand? Because at the beginning, public support for the movement was very high, wasn't it? Which was a big problem for President Macron. Where is it now?
That's right. Well, this cartoon will kind of bring us into that. The whole notion that support is now beginning to fall. You can see here the sort of a stereotypical Frenchman with his gilet jaune, and he's beginning to turn his back on the movement and take off his vest. And there is a poll saying that 52% of French people now feel that the movement should that they should no longer be blocking up the streets, and that there shouldn't be a stop to the protests, the weekly protests. Remember, the movement was supported by over 70% of French people when it started out. So that does show that there is, according to that poll by IFOP, published in a Sunday newspaper in France, that the movement is falling. But then you see, you go online, right? You go on Twitter, and there's an awful lot of, I would say, unverifiable information floating around social media. And this, you have here images saying the Gilets Jaunes are fighting for 3 months against injustice across France. The mainstream media will have you believe the numbers are receding. The camera doesn't lie. The mainstream media do. And you see, the thing is, Gilets Jaunes, for the most part, are against what they call and term mainstream media. They're going towards social media and alternative media. That's right, farther information. So from their point of view, if they're reading information such as this online, they don't believe that there's a big suspicion about polls, there's a big suspicion about rolling news channels, that it's misinformation and disinformation. Now, finally, Banksy?
Yeah, very quickly, Banksy.
All right, well, there were two...
Is he a Gilets Jaunes supporter?
He appears to be. There were two Gilets Jaunes, there were two Banksy icons in Bordeaux that got the Gilets Jaunes treatment, if you like. You can see here a Gilet jaune was added on, and further down there was another one as well, just with the RIC, which is the
famous rat.
Yeah, that's right, the rat, and he's holding a sign in favour of the referendums that the Gilets Jaunes are calling for. Now, was it somebody pretending to be Banksy or was it Banksy? And you know the whole rumour about Banksy being a member of Massive Attack.
No.
Well, apparently he is. And Massive Attack played in Bordeaux over the last few days. So people are saying, well, they're joining the dots. I heard he is a
guy called Robin from Bristol, and I know Massive Attack are from that part of the world, so maybe.
So some people are just joining the dots online and saying, ooh, maybe it was Banksy because Banksy's part of Massive Attack and they were in Bordeaux at the same time.
Intriguing, James.
So Banksy is a yellow vest.
Right, thank you very much indeed, James. James Freedom there.